Okay, so tell me this. Tell me this at least.
I've already got a killer app on the Linux side, by the way.
Proprietary or open source NVIDIA driver?
Proprietary.
You went with the proprietary driver?
Yeah.
It's a piece of crap.
Yes, it is. I'm struggling with it right now.
It's kind of shocking.
I haven't done enough of it, and I want to do a lot of documentation of it, actually, including some benchmarks that I want to throw in that I think might be kind of fun. I know it's not part of the challenge, but it might be interesting anyways. Of like the, am I pronouncing it? Navu?
I don't know.
The open source driver,
Sure.
whatever. So that one versus 470 versus 460, which are the two official
Right,
NVIDIA
sure.
drivers. But like I've had some issues for sure.
Yeah. That
It
would
just
be
feels gross. Like, I don't know. Have you like thrown windows around and done stuff like that?
a little bit. I've noticed that compared to my Windows experience, things are a little bit more like
Yes. Yeah. Even with like, do you have the refresh rate fixed?
I managed to get my refresh rate sorted out pretty quickly. That was one of the first things I did because I get triggered when my screen is running at 60 hertz these days.
Yeah, it was really apparent.
Yeah.
I thought
And
that
it
was the
felt
whole
worse.
problem at first.
It felt worse. Like 60 hertz felt worse than 60 hertz.
Yes.
But now that I'm at 120, it's totally fine. What about G-Sync?
I haven't verified that it's running.
I have verified that it's running,
Okay.
but I cannot find a toggle if for whatever reason I wanted to turn it off.
Interesting.
So that's where I'm at on that. Because remember, like someone in the YouTube chat pointed out, and this is very true. My setup is super cutting edge and exotic in a lot of ways. Like G-Sync over HDMI is, you might think, yeah, G-Sync, that's not new technology, but G-Sync over HDMI only came up really in the last year or two.
Yeah, you have quite a few unique challenges.
And
Like, no joke.
a year or two is not a long time if you don't have really excellent cooperation from the manufacturer to get something working in Linux,
Yeah.
especially when it's super high end, because the priority for Linux in general, from my perception, is openness and sustainability,
Yeah.
not like cutting edge gaming. And that's just that's just the way it is. So a lot of the cutting edge gaming stuff that I have and that I do is just not going to be a priority for most Linux developers. Now, the reason we're doing this challenge is that it's hopefully changing, and the Steam Deck is a big part of that. That's why we transitioned from talking about Steam Deck to this, because Steam Deck will be running Linux,
Yeah.
but it's going to take time.
Another thing someone brought up is you're also running an NVIDIA GPU, right?
Yeah.
So we almost certainly would have had a easier time on both sides if we were running AMD GPUs.
Yeah, possibly, but then I wouldn't be running G-Sync at all. Actually, I'm thinking, FreeSync over HDMI is a thing on that monitor. Oh, actually, I don't know. It's not the LG TV. It's Aorus's monitor. I have no idea how it behaves with FreeSync.
Not sure.
No idea.
But yeah, there's a lot of differences when it comes down to hardware. I was even kind of wondering, like, I don't think a Titan RTX is like a super common card.
No, but it's similar enough to the 2000 series. It's basically a 2080 Ti, which is basically a jacked up 2080. Like, I'm not actually expecting that to be a problem for me. I will tell you, though, man, I don't know what it is. I think I attract misery sometimes. The first game I tried to play, I was like, I've really been enjoying Cave Story Plus. It's an older game. It's Linux native.
It doesn't
got a
sound
Linux
bad.
native client. First game I picked has issues with launching off to the side. Okay, so like part of the frame was cut off. Has issues with controller support. The sound wasn't working. And for whatever reason, this particular game, not every game, other ones are fine. Crosscode was fine. Broforce was fine. This particular game doesn't support cross-platform cloud saves on Steam. So I had no sound, couldn't see part of the frame, couldn't use my controller, and my save file was gone.
So
That was my very first Linux gaming experience on my new machines.
I've definitely
just
ran
set
into
up.
the cross-platform cloud saves thing. That's unfortunate. That didn't really make it into my notes.
Okay. Well, it's in
Because-
mine, so.
Just for me, that wasn't like starting to game on Linux. That was specifically transferring from Windows to Linux, which I guess is part of it. But yeah, I don't know. Either way, first game I launched was FTL. Had none of those issues. Just didn't have my save.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it worked. Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's been a lot of Yeah. Have you tried another launcher?
Another launcher. Sorry, what do you mean by launcher?
Like BNet, Origin.
Oh, no, not yet.
Yeah.
I haven't even gotten as far as playing games with Proton yet. I've only put remember, first I put 3 hours into getting Cave Story running with no sound. I did manage to fix the off kilter rendering. Okay. I ran in Steam Big Picture mode. What I was trying to diagnose at the time was actually the controller support. I was like, oh, well, Big Picture.
You just solved it.
Part of Big Picture's whole jam is, just making it super easy for controllers to work in Steam games and in the interface. So I figure, okay, if I go right into it from the interface, I think the controller issue ended up being kind of PEBKAC, and I was just kind of overwhelmed by all the other issues that had cropped up in this game. Like, I think I didn't select controller before trying to rebind my thing. Like, it's kind of a weird interface that game has. But anyway,
it can be sometimes a little hard to differentiate between PEBKAC and the user experience just being pretty rough.
Yeah, so I did solve the off-center thing with Steam Big Picture. It would go right dead center. And then I tried it again, not in Big Picture, and it was off to the right again. And then the next day when I came back and sound was working, it launched without Big Picture dead center. And I was like, okay.
All right.
Thank you. Game a little bit.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh man,
the launcher experience is interesting. That's all I'll say.
Launcher experience. Okay, well, hey, I have that to look forward to. Make sure you're working on the challenges kind of one at a time, though, Luke. Otherwise, things are going to end up kind of sloppy.
I only added one other launcher, to be fair.
Okay, all right.
And I was very curious. I haven't gamed on Linux at all before. Basically, every time I've installed it, it's been on a laptop, and it was for school.
Right.
So they were always for like software development or just like studying education, productivity stuff in general. Sure. Anyways. So is it Lutris?
Yeah.
Lutris is like super cool and very powerful. And I don't want to add too much more to it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
But I was very curious in like trying out Lutris because I've never tried it before.